Hello, Delegate Wranglers. Welcome to the final show of season 3 of the Delegate Wranglers live show. I'm joined once again by my co-host Dominic. How are you, Dom?
Chair Neil, I'm very well. How are you?
Much better than last week.
It's very nice to see you back. I don't think we'll do detail on why you weren't here last week, but it's very nice to see you back in the chair.
No details required. But I'm let's just say I'm half a stone lighter. I'm feeling much better now.
Okay, already too much info. Lovely, thanks.
So we're going to introduce him in a second, but we are joined today by an industry legend, and a good friend of mine, Mr. Martin Fullard, the editor of Conference News and the editorial director of Mash Media, to give us a press release masterclass. Now, this is going to be super, super useful because I am on both sides of this. I send out press releases and I receive them. So I'll feel Marty's pain with probably some of the ones that he gets. So,
and what a way to round out the series, Neil.
Yeah, brilliant way. And super useful, isn't it, for everybody? Yeah. This, no matter what your business is, this is going to be really, really useful show. And be good. Great to have Marty on the show. I'm really, really happy about that.
Yes.
So, Dom, where are we live today?
Where
are we trying to be live?
We are. We have checked. We are live, as always, on Facebook on the Delegate Wranglers group, where most people are watching us. We're also live on YouTube, and we're live on Neil's profile on LinkedIn Live. So wherever you're watching, good afternoon to you. But please, as always, do follow all of the Delegate Wranglers channels. That's on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Just search at the Delegate Wranglers, like, follow, share, connect, subscribe, find them where you are. It really does make a difference, and it helps Neil to build the profile of what the group's trying to do. So wherever you are, please do that. Also, if you are watching on any one of those channels, say hi. I'm going to keep an eye on LinkedIn Live and on Facebook. Neil's going to keep an eye on the comments on YouTube, and we will say hello. We will shout you out. And as we proceed through this brilliant session with Martin, we will pick up any comments or questions for him. So yes, say hi.
Yes, please, guys. And as always, you've probably seen the little logo in the corner. We're sponsored by the Delegate Wranglers Superstars. We regularly have webinars to explain all the intricacies of them. Easy for me to say, intricacies of the membership and what you get, etc. So please join us for one of them. You'll see the links on the group all the time. And one thing I would like to just announce, if Callum could throw up the slide for me, is that we have now launched our stand partner opportunities for the meeting show, which is at the end of September, beginning of October. I know Dom's going to be there as well on our stand. I haven't asked him yet, but yes.
No. It's an absolute given. Wherever you are, we are. And actually, what a September. We're starting off with Confex first, second, and then the meeting show. I want to say is the 30th of September and the 1st of October. Is it? It's right at the end.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's the date. Yeah. But we're doing CHS as well, and we're going to make another announcement of another show very soon. So look out for that, guys. As the industry's coming back, we got lots of ways that you can ramp it up a little bit and come on our stand. And we always have lots of fun, don't we? So I'll ask Diane to put in the chat our info at thedelegatewranglers.com email address if you're interested in any of these opportunities. Drop us a line and we can send you out a pack of what it costs and what you get. But believe me, it's absolutely fantastic. Anyway, Dom, do we need to say a few hellos in the chat room?
Yeah, let's say a few hellos. So let's start off with Facebook. So immediately I can see Paul Hutton. Good afternoon, Paul. He says, hi, Neil. Hi, Martin. Kai Sherman. Good afternoon, Kai. Hope you're well. Penny Tyler. Hope the aircon's working. No, it's not. I'm in the studio, and for once it's really warm in here. Amanda Ellis says, hi, everyone. Jeanette Lendon. Hope you're feeling better from last week. I'm self-isolating here in Hertfordshire till Saturday. We are just coming out of our own isolation period here, Jeanette, so I feel the pain. Jan Denning, nice to see you back. Lovely to see you watching again. Felicity Berry. Craig McGee up there in Glasgow. Afternoon, Craig. Kate Conway. Diane's watching. Angela Clark. And Jan saying best stand chair ever, talking about the meeting show. I haven't seen any comments coming on LinkedIn Live yet. I'll keep an eye on that in just a moment. Anyone on YouTube?
Rahul. Yeah, we got a few people watching on YouTube. We got Rahul said hello. I don't know where you call watching from, Rahul, but thanks for joining us. Right, I think that's all the stuff out of the way. I would like to introduce, without any further ado, my good friend Martin Fullard. Hi, Martin. How are you doing?
Yeah, hi guys. Not too bad. How are you?
Really good. Hot, but
really
got the
good.
fan
Warm,
on
but
you.
it's great.
Yeah, I've got the fan on, so do a bit of Shakira kind of video in a minute. Anyway,
those hips definitely lie.
Yeah. So, Martin, I know me and you talk a lot about press releases, and I kind of ask you, can I pinch a bit of that for the Delegate Wranglers and link it to you guys? I know it's some subject that we receive press releases as well. Do you want to tell us a bit about your role at Conference News and Mass Media, and what you do, and how you've got to where you are now, just kind of briefly? Because I know we've had you on before, so.
Yeah, so obviously editor of Conference News, my primary day job is to obviously keep abreast of all things in the conference, meetings and, let's say, brand experience industries. So my day would be a blend generally of receiving press releases and, of course, going out to find my own stories to stay on top of things like that. So it's quite an intense job, and no 2 days are the same. On bigger picture, I'm the editorial director at Mass Media, which means I'm in charge of editorial output across Mass Media's other titles, such as, but not limited to, exhibition news, which means I need to keep abreast of what's happening over there in that world as well. I've been at Mass Media now for more or less exactly 5 years this week, I think, thereabouts. And before that, I was a journalist at a daily broadsheet newspaper out in Dubai.
Wow. So very well qualified, and I guess you've been kept really busy over the last 18 months or so with, all the development. And we're going to show your weekly lowdown at the end of the show with kind of all the latest news on what we can and can't do as of yesterday. So there's so much going on, Marty, isn't there, at the moment?
Yeah, things are very much. It's the antithesis of what I thought Freedom Day would be like. We're in just the most unprecedented situation. And I know people don't like that word, but it really is true. I mean, it has got context here. The government do seem to be making things up almost on the hoof. That's not very helpful for anybody. But at the end of the day, you can only sort of play the cards you dealt. And we've just got to do our best to soldier on until we have some manner of stability back. I mean, we're in probably a better position, I think, than we were a year ago, but there's still a long way to go.
Imagine working in that press office, Marty.
No thanks.
No thanks. Right. So, Marty, shall we get into it? Do you want to take us through your masterclass? We're really looking forward to this. Get your pens out, guys.
Great stuff. Thanks, guys. So my session is split into 2 parts. They're not exactly evenly spaced, so we'll just plow on with the first session and, first part of the session and see where that takes us. So, first of all, I think we have to establish what a press release actually is. And there are 2 ways of looking at that. There's the PR perspective, and then there's the journalist perspective. So from the PR perspective, a press release is in essence a short information bulletin written by a public relations professional sent to a targeted media database. The purpose of the press release is to grab the attention or interest of a journalist and publication, and of course the readers. It's vital, of course, that a press release contains all the essential information and is structured properly, and should always be on one single topic. Never try and combine more than one topic into a single release. The key essential elements that you must always include is the who, the what, the where, the when, the how, and most importantly, the why. And that, of course, does make it easier for a journalist to sort of sift through, and you must always remember that some of us receive hundreds a day. But of course, while organisations use press releases to promote their goods and services and might not consider their press release to be an advert, sometimes they are, and there are sometimes not many ways around that. Journalists are quick to spot organisations who dress something up as news in order to get free advertising. Let's put it this way, I never get a press release from a company giving me some bad news. It's always the positive stuff, funnily enough, and of course that's what public relations is. That's just the nature of the beast. So let's look at what a press release is then from the journalist or the publication's perspective. Often a generic piece of information containing lots of positive things about a company that's been carefully crafted, and we really do get so many every day. Now, in some cases, they're used by big business and government to respond to a crisis, but perhaps in today's context, that's a bit too big. We're talking more about how we can work with you out there in the events industry. Now, I do want to make a quick caveat here. This is not a sales plug or anything like that. Obviously, a single press release will not help you punch through to the marketplace in one hit. If you really are undergoing a big marketing drive, you need a proper marketing strategy and, of course, the help of an experienced PR as well. And, of course, you will need an advertising budget. Okay, but we are talking about single press releases today, but remember, they are not the silver bullet to market penetration. So let's talk about the stages. Before you even contemplate your press release, you need to establish who you're sending it to. If your strategy is simply just to throw a press release into the flock of pigeons, you're unlikely to make much headway. You need to establish which publications are A, suitable, and B, likely to pick it up. For example, if you're writing about your conference centre, yes, at Conference News, I'm going to be interested. But is the Financial Times going to be interested, or the Independent? Probably not. So you've got to make sure that you target that database.
Can I ask you a quick question there? So do you find that people will just send the same press release to everybody, that kind of one size fits all? Or do you kind of advocate that people should adjust them slightly if there's slightly different publications?
Absolutely, they should adjust them to tailor them specifically. I'm going to come to that in just a moment, Neil. I've got some real good bits of information for you on that. But yeah, that's a fantastic point, and it really does centre heavily on what this whole session is about. It's all about building relationships. Remember, public relations. That's what PR stands for, and that's why it has to be personal for each individual title. So, like every other piece of effective copy, a press release should be written with a specific target audience in mind. However, and this is the tricky part, you don't write directly for that audience. You're writing your press release for the editor or the journalist, and you tailor that to the readership of the publication. Now, the bulk of each tailored press release might be very similar, but as Neil's just pointed out correctly, you write a different headline or perhaps different opening paragraph, maybe with a separate comment or something like that. So each title is almost getting a different bespoke version of that news. So you've got to research the titles, visit their websites, read their magazines to establish maybe what your competitors might be doing. They might be getting news traction. What are they writing about? How are they presented? And what type of content does that publication run? What do the readers want? What do they consume? What does the editor want? No marketing or PR professional can shape that editorial agenda, and journalists just simply won't let that happen. So you have to understand what the title wants. It's so important to build that targeted media database, and I can't stress this enough. If you want to punch through, you need to send that press release personally, not through a MailChimp or anything like that. It will get lost in the pile. I've got currently 27,000 unread emails over the last year, right? Most of which are press releases. You've got to make it personal. Start with hey Martin. Okay, you must establish those personal connections. Now, the next bit is, of course, unique news. So by definition, a press release is, of course, a single piece of text. Do you think we're all going to run the same version? All right. Do not think that what you send into me or anyone else is going to be the final version. Every title will want their own version of that news story. First of all, of course, for editorial integrity. And second of all, if we all ran the same thing, that would make all of us look bad. The press release, whatever you send in, is going to be carved up. If you send it to me at Conference News and two other event industry titles, we're not simply going to just copy and paste it. We'll chop it up, move it around, take bits out. We might even come back to you for more relevant information or perhaps a different comment from a fresh angle. And this is a bugbear of every journalist in the land, we do not pander to marketing speak or branding. You cannot take it personally if we change anything. We never want to hear the words brand story or marketing story. If we do, you're going straight to the commercial department, okay? It's an insult to the audience and clearly a commercial deal. This is the key takeaway. You've got to look at your press release as the foundation for a news story, not the final story itself, if that makes sense.
So, then, of course, can I ask you a quick question there? So, with that, do you think it is better to write, apologies if you're going to come to this again, but a fully rounded story that you almost hope that the editor will copy and paste, or just the kind of meat of the bones, kind of just the snippets of what he needs and let him write it? Does it depend on, because not everyone will have a full-on editorial department like you. It might just be a website using it for a bit of news or something. Do you know what I mean? Is it better to give them a bit of scope to write their own?
Let's put it this way. Hope isn't the strategy. Okay, so if you are going down the route of press releases, you need to have a strategy. Otherwise, you're not going to break through. You may as well just be writing in thin air. You do have to take that seriously, and you do have to keep it simple and to the point. You don't have to elaborate with adjectives and go overboard on things like that. And I am going to come to that more in a bit while, Neil. So bear with me. There's going to be plenty of information on that coming up. Another part of this first part is the use of embargoes and exclusives, which is a funny one. An embargo, in case you don't know, is a specified time and date when the press release becomes public. As journalists, generally, we respect embargoes, but you have to ask yourself, why are you using them? Now, in the real world, government departments will use an embargo on a press release so that journalists can prepare their newspapers ahead of time. So they might say, send it to you on a Monday night and say, this is embargoed till Tuesday, 8 a.m. That just gives the journalist the time to get everything in order so it lands at the same time. But really, in our industry, there's no instance to use an embargo time. It's pretty unnecessary, because what will happen is if you send it to me on the Wednesday and say it's embargoed to the Monday, we're going to forget about it. We're not going to come back. Send it when you're ready for it to be public. Just don't use the embargo unless it really is something quite unique. And I couldn't even give you an example. Exclusives, of course, are another one. If you really want to curry favour with a journalist, if you can give them an exclusive heads up, maybe a 6-hour advance notice before you tell anyone else, that's always a way to make friends and favours. Something perhaps like mergers between two businesses or a business acquisition. Stuff like that generally makes for good content. And then lastly, before we move to the actual meat of how to write a press release, I just want to drop a note on the commercial tie-in and what sort of to expect if you've been successful enough to get your press release through and to press. And there's no other way of saying this, but publications, of course, need money to survive, just like you and your business. If your press release gets picked up and maybe we run it, don't be surprised if you then get a call from a commercial person at the same title. Treat them with respect. Okay, at the end of the day, you're using that publication's audience to promote your business, which you clearly value because you've sent your press release in. But a single press release is sort of here today, gone tomorrow. That's the reality. It gets slapped up online. There it is. 5 hours later, it's way down the pecking order. It's only an online news story, okay? Yeah. If you really want to expand your business's presence in the marketplace, then you do absolutely need to be talking to the publication's commercial team as well. It doesn't have to be a simple transaction, but you'd be amazed at what sort of partnership opportunities can emerge. A press release really is just a small part of the puzzle. And I just wanted to drop that bit in just to remind everyone that on its own, a press release is not a silver bullet to getting to the market.
Yeah, you know what, Marty, I can jump in on that as well, because it's the same with us as well on the Delegate Wranglers. You know, we offer press releases as part of packages and things that we do. You know, a series of press releases with some campaign stuff that we've done with them as well. So, but what I'm hearing, Marty, is one of the best bits of advice you're giving is to get a relationship with the editor. Really, you know, get some kind of working relationship so that they know you and you can trust them and you can say, listen, could you do me a favor? I really, you know, blah, 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 or whatever it is. Is that one of the key aspects, would you say?
Yeah, and I wouldn't even use the word favor. That's the dynamic of the relationship. Yeah. It's not a favor. Yeah. That's how it works. At the end of the day, I am a journalist in a particular field. I obviously know where I need to go and what I need to do and my top line stuff. But then I actually rely on a whole layer of PRs out there in the industry to come to me with client odds and ends and stories that might be interesting. At the end of the day, they're existing and employed to to grow those respective businesses. So of course it's transactional. So there is the press releases will come to me. We don't charge for press releases or anything like that. If it's an interesting story, that's fine. But of course, don't be surprised if you get the commercial tie-up or the phone call, because of course, we're all growing as an industry and that's the dynamic. It's not in favour, but the relationship between journalist and PR is sacrosanct. It's a really important one to get right. And that's why I always insist on those personal emails. And I always listen to PRs who really have gone to the trouble to understand my audience. If I'm just on a mailing list, I'm sorry, that's just not going to cut the mustard.
Yeah. Martin, you might come on to this a little bit later, so forgive me. It's just a question that's in my head, which would be an interesting one to get answered. As a small business owner, what news that I have is press release worthy?
Well, that could be anything, couldn't it? It depends on the context of what you do and when you're doing it. It's almost an impossible question to answer. Okay. But at the end of the day, you can talk about, it depends who we're talking about and what our audience is. So let's just say in the context of conference news, you are in simple terms, a supplier to the industry. Yeah. What we obviously want to represent bigger picture wise is how that industry might be growing. So have you, for example, employed 2 or 3 new people? Have you made a promotion? Well, that can actually be a story in itself. It might sound pretty small and it might not set the world alight. It won't do great web traffic, but it's just another little piece of that puzzle. Something else that's out there. Just highlight that the industry's growing. Yeah. So that's an interesting one. If you're a venue or you're an AV supplier as a preferred supplier in a venue, let's hear about new business wins. That's a fantastic example. Yeah. Are you working with any new partners to help deliver better events? Share a case study is slightly different to a press release, but it can work. I'd always advise you come to us on a bespoke case-by-case basis for case studies. But of course, shouting about any new investment, or if you've won a new contract for a particular event and the client doesn't mind you sharing that information, those sorts of stories are really good.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just going to jump in, Marty, as well. The other one is the classic poll survey. Somebody's done a survey on something and then write a press release around that. But do you find that as a kind of promotional one too much?
This is I think more. I wouldn't never say yes to blanket surveys and white papers and all of that for the simple reason that they're generally conducted amongst one single company's client base, and you're not really going to get too much out of it. And what happens in many cases is you get percentages thrown at you without context. They may have surveyed 15 companies. Is that really going to be a representative story of the wider industry? Now, some people might jump at that content, and it's certainly sociable and shareable. But in the grand scheme of things, how accurate is that? Is that just content for content's sake? I'm not so sure. Now, if you're a small agency, you've got 15 clients and you've all surveyed them and they've all said, we will never do live events again, I'd probably take that, because that was quite an alarming statistic to find. But to say that, 36% of delegates want vegan food when you've only spoken to about 10 delegates isn't really going to get my attention. So you've got to be careful with things like that. And I have a responsibility to make sure what I publish is accurate. Everyone who wants to send me a press release is relying on me to maintain a credible reputation. If I start just publishing anything, then the prestige of being on our site is gone. So I've got to make some very hard decisions sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, anything in the chat, Marty? Dom?
No. I will put this question. I think she's followed up and said, so Jeanette asked, how do you reply to PR requests on, for example, #journo request on Twitter? But she has followed it up and says, I think this may be actually about something totally different. Sorry if it's not applicable.
I've never used journo request or anything like that ever. That's just not a mainstream way of doing things.
So, Marty, what about using? You might come to this, but using the various different channels for your own PR. So, in terms of like Twitter or LinkedIn, and is this something that you kind of advocate people can do as well?
Yeah, you can always do a call for stuff. At the end of the day, there's no set rule to social media. I use LinkedIn to sometimes call for, insight on certain things, and I want people's experiences and their insight to share with me. But I generally don't see that as a PR opportunity. That's just me being a journalist. PR I see as very much being sent information from, I guess, the supplier-based side of the industry, which includes venues and tech suppliers and everything in that sort of bracket. Really, how you use social media is fine, but I think people need to remember that you've got to be associated with sort of a reputable brand. When you're just pushing out your own stuff all the time, you're not really backing that up with anything. People sort of see through that. You need to have the best of both worlds.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. Okay, where are we, Marty? Are we on to the next your next section?
So I'm gonna start the how to write section. So this is a little bit more in depth and specific, and I'm happy to sort of answer any questions maybe another day as well if there's a lot to cover here. So I just wanted to start with a very, very simple list of do's and don'ts, 4 of each, and they might sound quite inane, quite random, but believe me, if you pay attention to these, you'll be on the right track. So do get to the point. Do cut out the flim-flam. Do articulate the entire purpose of everything in the first paragraph, and do write in third person. Okay? Those are your 4 main do's for a press release. Your 4 don'ts. Don't overdo the adjectives. All right? My God, don't overdo the adjectives. Don't never say world leading or leading. All right? You are in no position to say that your own brand or product or whatever is world leading. Okay? That will just be stripped out. Don't leave key details too late into the press release, because an editor will only probably read the first paragraph, hence the need to get everything articulated at that opening. And don't use exclamation marks. All right, you'll never see journalism with exclamation marks in unless it's on the front page of the Daily Mirror or something. Okay, so those are the do's and don'ts. Then we're on this very important discovery journey here. You need to have something new and important to say. So you need to establish what that is. If you simply want to promote a product or service, you can't just write about its benefits as you would in an advert or a brochure. That's sponsored content and is available at a good price. But there's too much content out there. Getting published on a respected title today is worth so much more. And if there's one thing audiences hate, it's being sold to when they've come to the website for news and to be informed through genuine content. There is an absolute place for advertising content, 100%, and done well, it can be fantastic, but don't try and hijack news, because it will not be well received. You need to find, therefore, a newsworthy angle, and you can do that by using the acronym TRUTH. All right, that's in telling the truth. Truth is the acronym. T is topical or timely. R, relevant. U, unusual or unique. The other T, trouble and tension. And H, human interest. So I'm going to quickly just elaborate on what those points mean.
Love those, by the way.
What was that?
I love those. They're absolutely brilliant. I mean,
I was trying to write them down, but you went too quickly. We'll catch those at the end and stick them in the wrap-up.
I'm going through them again now. I'm going through them again.
We'll post it up in the wrap-up for people as well.
Okay, really one by one. Hit us with T. Topical.
T. Is the story topical or timely? Has it just happened, or is it about to happen? Recent means today and tomorrow, but never yesterday. Look out for hooks to running news stories. Do you have something else that you can offer to or add greater perspective? How does it relate to what's happening in the future? So is there a current affairs angle involved? Is it topical? Is it timely? R. Is the story relevant to readers or viewers or listeners, depending on whatever medium you're in? The more people it obviously affects, the more newsworthy a story is. It needs to be relevant, important, and interesting to the publication's target audience. So who does your story affect? How does it impact their lives or their jobs or their businesses? What benefits does it bring? You. What's unusual or unique about the story? So a good story is one that people haven't seen or heard before. What is the unusual aspect of the story? What is the normal situation, and how does the situation differ? There might be something there. The second T, is there any trouble that would add tension? And I'd be amazed. This is probably the one that's probably least relevant for our B2B context, but nonetheless, we'll have a go. Like it or not, bad news does sort of sell, and it certainly generates lots of clicks, all right? We can all moan about mainstream media, but that's just the reality. Journalists sort of do love stories with a bit of trouble and tragedy and tension at its heart. But if you're responsible, of course, for an organisation or an individual's reputation, you won't be sending out press releases on their troubles. Bearing in mind the media's thirst for trouble, you should aim to frame your story as how your product or service can help reduce or overcome trouble. How does your story perhaps challenge a conventional view? Could it help people triumph over tragedy? And what problems are you helping to reduce or alleviate? You never know. There might be something in there. Yeah.
Can I ask you a question on that? So would this be something that a PR company could help you with if there is bad news? You know, if you get some kind of bad news, that you work with the press release. Yeah, go on.
You've seen media fails in the mainstream media before. If something negative has happened to your venue, to your company and all of that, and everyone's talking about it, you can't really stay silent and ignore it. You're going to have to release a statement or a press release or something. And I would always advise you speak to a professional to help you get that message out. Now, as a journalist saying that, I get chucked out the magic circle for that. But, otherwise, technically, I'd be teeth in and I'd want to know more and more and more and more and more. And I'd be digging and digging and digging. But really, to help managing your messaging, you're going to need the help of a PR. That's your free advice right there. So lastly, H, where is the human interest? News is created by people for people. So to try and put people, not products or services, at the heart of your story. All right, people first. Getting a celebrity involved, if you've got millions of pounds, is of course always a great thing to do. But of course, in the story, you want to talk about who is involved. Has they done something extraordinary? Why are they interested with your organisation? But of course, I need you all to be cynical about your own stories as well. If you were an editor, would you run it? That's the question. So there we go. There's so many different possibilities there. So once we've been through truth, we're now going to have to answer the 6 W questions. Okay, now I'm going to be asking Neil to publish an example press release. Not yet. I'll give Neil the word to do that in a few minutes. But there are certain aspects, the 6 W's, which you need to bear in mind. So the who, the what, the when, the why, and the how. So I'm now going to come up with an example, and we'll later on share the finished press release, okay? But we don't publish it yet. So just remember what I'm telling you here. So let's use a tech company sponsoring an event as an example of the press release we're about to write, all right? And I'm going to ask Neil to share that in a few minutes' time. So who is doing something or has done something? Well, this is this pretend company called Supertech and the Delegate Wranglers Conference. Okay, so Supertech and the Delegate Wranglers Conference. Who is affected? The delegates and the organisers. What have they done? What's going on? Supertech, this pretend company I've invented, have sponsored the Delegate Wranglers Conference and are giving visitors a chance to win a new free trial of their event tech platform. Okay, so there you go. That's basically the cut and thrust of the press release we're about to write. Where are they going, or where did they do it? So where did they do it, or where are they going to do it? They're going to do it at this pretend venue called the Waterloo Conference Centre, London. When are they going to do it, or when did they do it? 20th of July. Why are they doing it? Well, Supertech are obviously supporting event organisers who might be confused about event technology. And of course, they're looking to grow their own market presence. How? How will it be done? How was it done? How will it affect people? Supertech, our pretend company, will partly fund the event. They'll run demos of the platform and offer every they'll offer every visitor free entry into a prize draw to win this trial. So let's just quickly go back. Who? Supertech and the Delegate Wranglers. Who's affected? The delegates and the organisers. What are they doing? Supertech have sponsored the event and they're going to give you all a chance to win a free trial. They're doing it at a place called the Waterloo Conference Centre. It's happening on the 20th of July. Why are they doing it? Well, they're supporting event organisers. They're obviously confused about event text. They want to obviously get their brand exposed. They want some more market presence. And how will they do it? Well, they're going to partly fund the event, and they're going to let you all jump into the free draw. And if you're lucky to come out of the hat, you will get a free trial. So how do we turn that into a news story? So answered with all that, we've got all those answers now. We've got to use what we call in journalism the inverted triangle. All right, the inverted triangle. So that is you starting at the top with the most important information, coming down to the least important information at the end. Because remember, as journalists, if we're chopping, we chop from the bottom up. That's why you must describe the story more or less in summary and full in that first sentence or two. And the total word count for a standard press release, I'd say, would be between 300 and 400 words. Aim for that. 500, too long. I wouldn't go over 500. You could probably tip it, but don't go over 500. And I wouldn't go any less than 200. 200 is a bit light. Now, you mainly use this template because it does help journalists. So where do we start from? We need to start with a short, clear headline to tell the media what the story is about. Now, and I know you won't like this because you all like creative writing, but no tabloid puns. Don't try to be clever, all right? We use headlines. I know a lot of people say, oh, they like creative writing, but seriously, trust me, don't do it. All right, we use headlines to determine whether a story is even worth reading. If it doesn't grab the attention of the journalist, they'll probably just delete it or bin it without even reading it. But grabbing the media's attention isn't the same as grabbing the audience's attention. So don't try and be cryptic or clever. We don't have time, all right, to work out what you mean. All right, and even if we do love your clever headline, we won't use it because we want to write our own. All right, we'll handle the snappy headlines. What you really need to do is be a little bit dry with it and say somebody does something worthwhile. That is a sufficient headline for a press release. It has to be idiot-proof for the likes of me. Okay, so write a very short, functional headline. Then there are 5 paragraphs to consider. The first paragraph, that's where you need to sum up the entire story in 1 or 2 sentences. The second paragraph puts the story into context, why it's important. The third paragraph presents the details, who's involved, how it came about, and so on. The fourth paragraph includes relevant comments, or quotes if you like, to add information, credibility, and maybe even an opinion. And the fifth paragraph shows where people can find more details or get involved. Sometimes that won't be included if, of course, the editor thinks it's edging on this concept of free advertising. So we're always keeping our eyes on that. So, Neil, if I could ask you to share that press release in the comments section so everyone can have a look at it.
Martin, while he's doing that, can I jump in with a question from Jan, who said, do photographs help in a release?
Oh, yes. Have you ever read a news story that hasn't got an image attached to it? No, I thought not. Always send an image. And this was, actually, I've got this in big letters at the bottom of my notes here. Send it landscape, all right? Portrait images are very difficult for us to work with because you end up with like something like that of someone's face. So always make sure it's landscape. Less than 1 meg is fine, but of reasonable quality. And no logos. Honestly, logo images look awful. We don't like them. We might use them as an emergency placeholder, but they'll be swapped out as soon as we can. If you leave it to us, we'll just go on Getty Images, for which we have an account, and we'll take a stock photo, which will be very bland and very generic. All right? Imagery matters. When it appears on social media, that picture is what generally draws people to read the article. Send the right picture that you want and make it a good one.
Yeah, the number of times, Marty, that I get, we get sent, pictures and portrait and landscape, and yeah, they're really important as well. Marty, just a quick one on pictures. Where do you stand on pictures of people who are saying the quotes and things like that?
If you don't mind, I'll come on to that in a few moments, Neil, because I've got a little section.
So many times. Sorry.
No, it's fine. That's what you're supposed to do. Right, have we got that press release shared?
I was just going to say, wherever you're watching on Facebook, LinkedIn, and on YouTube, if you haven't looked at the comments already, Neil has shared the example press release that Martin's talking about right now.
Okay, so I wrote this yesterday as a complete dummy, just to show you exactly what we spoke about earlier on. So if I could take you back to, I presume you've all been making notes about the 6 W's: who, Supertech and Delegate Wranglers; who's affected, the delegates and organisers; what are they doing, what have they done. Supertech have sponsored the Delegate Wranglers conference and are giving visitors a chance to win a free trial on the platform. Where are they doing it? The Waterloo Conference Centre in London. When? 20th of July. Why? They're supporting conference organisers or event organisers who might be confused about event technology and looking to grow their own market presence. How was it or will it be done? Supertech are going to partly fund the event, run demos of the platform, and offer every visitor free entry into a prize draw to win a trial. So if you've got the press release in the comments, I'm just going to quickly run through that and you can see what I've done. So the headline: event technology platform to offer free trial to delegates. You'll probably click on that. That's an interesting one. Then the first paragraph. All right. Event technology provider Supertech is to offer delegates of the Delegate Wranglers conference the chance to win a 6-month free trial on its platform. Now, I could stop right there and not give you any more information. As far as top line, that's all you need. Now, as the journalist, that is probably the only thing I'm going to read. Once I read that and I think, that's interesting, I'm now going to move on to the second paragraph. If you get that opening paragraph wrong, it's all going to go wrong and you're going to lose me. So, second paragraph. The event comes at a time when the event technology landscape has become hyper-competitive, with many organisers feeling overwhelmed with the number of platforms available to them. Now, if you're an event organiser, I'd like to think that most of you probably agreed with that. All right, and I've chosen that for a very specific purpose because it has an emotional connection to you. Everyone knows at the moment event organisers are just completely overwhelmed with all the different technology platforms that are out there. And while many of them are very good, many people don't know where to start. So we now got like an emotional connection. I know my readers are going to read that and go, "Oh yeah, I need to know a bit more about this because I find it really confusing." So, third paragraph, what are Supertech actually doing? Supertech, which is sponsoring the event, will run a competition in which 5 delegates will be selected at random from a prize draw. The winning delegates will have access to the platform's premium services, which will allow them to run up to 6 events for 250 people. Nice bit of detail here. All delegates will have the chance to demo the platform. The Delegate Wranglers conference will take place at the Waterloo Conference Centre in London on the 20th of July, with topics ranging from the future of hybrid to monetising virtual events. American-based Supertech has been expanding its operation in the UK since it launched in 2019 and now employs 120 people worldwide. In its most recent accounts, the technology provider posted turnover of £3 million and was adopted for use by the World Economic Forum in May. So there's a lot of information in that third paragraph, but it's all with context. So what I've done by adding all those extra details that probably wouldn't have been in the press release about Supertech's turnover and other use, I've given that brand extra credibility. I've given it context. Now, if you see a £3 million company, you're going to your ears are going to prick up, and you go, "Oh, hang on, they must be serious. They must be serious." So I'm going to give that a little bit more attention than I otherwise might. So you can see what I've done there. There's no adjective. It's not, "Oh, everyone's going to have a really good time." It's not inane waffle. Everything there is specific. And then the fourth paragraph. This is where we bring the comments. Neil Thompson, I've misquoted you here, Neil. Neil Thompson, organiser of the Wranglers conference, said, "Virtual event platforms have evolved very quickly over the last year and organisers need to stay on top of them. Rather than simply having the Supertech team stand on stage and talk about their platform, we wanted to give our delegates the chance to experience it firsthand." Jane Smith, Supertech's Chief Marketing Officer, agreed that engaging delegates firsthand was the most suitable way to highlight the platform's evolution. "We know not everyone is a technology expert, and that staying on top of such a fast-moving part of the industry can be quite intimidating," said Smith. "We felt we needed to partner with the Delegate Wranglers conference to perhaps remind ourselves of this. We want people to be able to understand the platform, and hopefully they'll learn that it can help them deliver strong events in the future." Now, a couple of comments on this, everybody. This is important. I've not attempted to patronise my readers at all. What you won't see there is Neil saying, oh, I'm delighted to be working with Supertech. They're really good. That's meaningless. All right, meaningless. What he's done is he's identified a problem in that comment that's actually will bring about an emotional response to the audience. And, of course, the tech company, they'll know that everyone will know, well, they're sponsoring this just to get in front of me. That doesn't have to be a problem. Embrace that. So don't shy away from why they're there in the first instance. Just take it on, accept it for what it is. By pretending a sponsor is not there to get in front of the audience is an insult. We all know they are, but they should be embraced because that's why they're there, to help and support and to guide. So, of course, they may as well just say, we obviously are tech experts. We know the marketplace is busy, so we're here to help. We'd like people to trial our platform, but we're going to give it to you free. It's on you. How they deal with that is how they deal with it, but you just face that head on. And lastly, I say paragraph, it's a single sentence. Registration for the Delegate Wranglers Conference is now open. Sometimes we might strip that last line back. It depends if we think it's too much of a free advert, but generally, if it's for an event, we might include a hyperlink there as well, people to help people draw people to the event rather.
Marty, can I just join in there? I think one important point to make is I really like what you did in the fourth paragraph, where just before it went to Jane Smith's actual quote, you said instead of her saying everything in the quote, you actually said it in the lead up to her quote, where she said, agreed that engaging delegates firsthand was the most suitable, blah, 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 rather than just having to try and explain all that in a quote, if you understand what I mean.
Because that's now me saying it. That's now me saying she said it. So rather than just say, oh, well, that's me that's helping me and all of that. So I just want to touch lastly on the comment section, guys. Let's get this straight. A press release contains comments, not quotes. Okay, a quote is small. Extract from a larger body of text. All right, that's what it is. A comment is one part of the press release that the media can't change. So don't waste them with platitudes and repetition. So that's what we've just discussed, what Neil just mentioned there. If you find yourself writing the words, we're delighted, proud, passionate in comments, delete them. Journalists don't give two stuffs about how pleased you or your clients are. All they want to know is what you're doing to please or support their readers. Okay, comments are the least important part of any press release, but they can be the most impactful. So don't waste them. Get them right. Don't hollow platitudes are the worst. All right. Keep all the platitudes, the values, and the mission statements for internal comms. You don't need to put them on a press release. Just consider, this will be my last point, guys. What you should consider is explain why a particular product or service or partnership is of benefit to people, give credibility to an unknown product or service or partnership, maybe express an opinion, maybe something controversial on an important issue, not sound, of course, as if they've been written by a PR department or a consultancy. And always at the bottom of your press release, include a short about section about the company, okay, and include a phone number or email who we can contact for more information.
Marty, I have a few questions and a few things I want to ask you about and get your opinion about, because I also get sent a lot of press releases, and and I write my own as well. So here goes. Is there a standard format that they should send it to you in? Like, I think you can download templates from Word and all kinds of things, which actually give you some help of where to put stuff.
Honestly, a plain Word document is the best, generally, with the headline and all that. A lot of people sometimes send PDFs. Obviously, we can export them out, but I'd avoid PDF. It's another excuse. You're giving the journalist another excuse not to take it. Honestly, a blank Word document, by all means, it can be on a headed paper or headed, you know what I mean? Headers. But generally speaking, keep it in Word.
But it's essential to have, like, I usually see on the bottom, it'll say ends, and then it'll say about the company, like you said, and it'll give some general information.
Put end in square brackets, and then, of course, a little bit about the company, just so we got the context and understand what we're talking about here. And then that's it.
So PDFs, I agree with you. We get sent PDFs, and they just cause formatting issues. So if you can do that, guys, avoid PDFs. I'd also say as well, avoid block capitals in the title, because it's just a bit of extra effort for us to have to strip that out. I don't know about you, Marty, but it drives me mad. What about acronyms as well? You see a lot of titles and companies. Do we need to put the full title in and then in brackets and just refer to it?
Put your spell it out in full at the outset, and then put the acronym in brackets afterwards, and then you can use the acronym throughout the rest of the copy. Yeah. But in the first instance, spell it out in full. Yeah,
cool. Okay. Dom, any questions? I've just seen one from Kai in the chat.
Oh, you're seeing one that I can't, Neil. You take. Oh, beg your pardon. Okay, it's just loaded. Can you send us the perfect press release that you're talking about so we can use it as an example? And are there any other notes you can share? It's really interesting. Thank you very much.
What I'll do, guys, is I'll share my notes with Neil, and he can share them out with you on an individual basis. I wouldn't have that published all over the internet, but certainly if you've made the effort to join us today, I see no reason why we can't email you the notes.
Would you? Okay, we'll do that. We'll put it in the wrap up, and anybody who wants to
get in touch,
wants a copy of the stuff, you can get in touch with Marty direct. That'll be fine. We've talked about pictures. We talked about quotes. I think I've got mostly everything that I was going to talk about, Marty. So thank you very much. I mean, that was.
I hope it's been of use.
It's been amazing. There's another comment here from Cassandra. Hi, Cass, by the way. I was told not to put a press release into an attachment and rather copy and paste it into an email with a photo attachment. What are your thoughts? Are you bothered, Marty? You find either way?
No, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's always it's good if you've written it in Word, so you may as well attach it. But to be honest, it's quite common practice for people to do both. They actually include the press release in the email. Hi, Martin. See below press release. Blah blah blah. Here it is down the bottom, and it's also attached. It's 6 to 1, half a dozen to the other. That doesn't really matter. There's no real difference there.
Yeah, cool. Okay, well, thank you so much, Marty. That has been amazingly useful. I'm going to give
this. It's been hugely useful, and also a masterclass in presenting a masterclass to time.
Yeah. I'm going to go on holiday for a few weeks next year, Martin. You can just step in and. No, Marty, that's absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much. I mean, I hope everyone's found that as useful as certainly me and Dom have. I mean, I can see from the comments that people are, they really enjoyed it. I've just seen another comment as well.
One from Jan saying, "Great session, thanks a million." There was one on LinkedIn earlier, which I can't appear to find at the moment, but someone was saying, "Thanks, this is a great session." I saw Naomi Josh comment. Amanda Ellis, really helpful and relevant advice and masterclass. Thank you, Martin. And thank you for sharing my previous press releases from Jan.
Also, just got a comment from Naomi Rose on YouTube. Do you work with next generation event professionals? This is brilliant. Thank you. So lots of useful stuff there that people have picked up, Marty. And as I say, guys, we'll put something on the wrap up later. So if you need this information from Marty, you can get hold of it. So thanks a lot, Marty. We're going to be handing over to you in a minute for the wrap up. Giving us all the info.
No, for the lowdown, not the wrap up.
The lowdown, sorry, the lowdown. So thank you, Marty. Brilliant job, and really appreciate it.
No worries, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Right, Dom. So we are nearly there with another season.
I mean, it's taken 3 seasons and 8 episodes in this one, but we might actually finish on time.
Yes, indeed.
If not a bit early.
Now we can go down the pub. Pity we're only about 300 miles apart, though.
I'm going to come and see you in the summer, mate.
Definitely, mate. Bring it on. You're all welcome. Just had the patio done. Give you a patio update. It's all done now.
I saw on your story over the weekend. You've been working hard there.
Yeah, I tell you what. I wish I could take the credit for laying the patio flags, but
was that Di?
Grafting. Yeah, that was Di. No. We got professional then. Anyway, DIY die, she's just said. so with as I say, we just been speaking to Marty. He gave us a really fantastic lowdown this week, which came out yesterday, with all the kind of regulations and all the things you need to be thinking about on the night from the 19th onwards. Yeah. So without any further ado, we will play that, guys, and play heed to this because it is really, really useful.
Hello and welcome to the Delegate Wranglers Weekly Lowdown with Mash Media. I'm Martin Fullard. Now, something a little bit different today. 19th of July is the day when all restrictions are lifted, but there are still things to know, and there's a matter of personal responsibility that attendees, organisers and venues all have to play a role in taking care. So quickly then, let's just run through the key areas that everyone needs to be aware of from the 19th of July. Track and trace. Venues are no longer required to collect customer contact details or keep a record of staff and visitors, but they are encouraged to continue to display the NHS QR code for customers wishing to still check in. Venues or organisers don't have to ask customers to check in, and they can refuse, but we've got to make sure we keep it all there for those who still wish to do that. There should also be a manual method for those who don't have smartphones. On COVID status certification, there is no legal mandate to use the NHS app as proof of COVID-19 vaccination, negative test, or proof of natural antibodies. The government, however, does encourage that for larger events. We don't know exactly what they mean by larger event, but it's up to you to use your discretion. There's really no harm in doing it if it's quite straightforward for you to do. Cleaning and hygiene. From now on, an organiser hiring a venue for an event should discuss ventilation and cleaning with the venue operator to check their risk management protocols. The organiser should agree with the venue in advance any additional cleaning measures that need to be taken care of to manage risks, such as opening windows to increase ventilation. On face coverings are no longer required by law, but the government does expect and recommend that people should continue to wear them in crowded and enclosed settings, so maybe walking around buildings where perhaps they're not seated down. On social distancing rules will cease to exist from the 19th of July, but organisers and venues should consider floor markings and crowd management methods to prevent overcrowding and bottlenecks at certain points. And what to do if someone presents COVID-19 symptoms? Well, as it was before, the guidance says that if an attendee presents symptoms or the organiser or venue becomes aware of a case of suspected or confirmed case on site, they should not be admitted, or they should be asked to leave the facility or event and get home as quickly and as safely as possible, unless they need to be transported to hospital for treatment. The customer should be advised to self-isolate in line with the NHS guidelines and to take a PCR test. Now, where possible, the customer should be assessed on site, preferably by a medical professional if there is such a provision. Unless they're in need of urgent and medical attention and need to be transported to hospital for treatment, they should be encouraged to take a supervised lateral flow test. And lastly, communication. Websites, social media channels and any digital or written engagement should include up-to-date information on any attendee obligations or requirements in relation to COVID-19. And that is your weekly lowdown.
There he is again. We can't get rid of him. Marty with a really important lowdown there. Lots of good points and lots of good information that he shared with us all, and hope you found it really helpful.
Those videos have been great all the way through this. I think it's been a really nice addition to the series. So nice work.
Yeah, no, we've really enjoyed it. Marty's a superstar. So yeah. So what have we got coming up in the next few weeks? Not a lot. We're on holiday.
It's holiday time. Are you actually going away, Neil? Oh, no, we'll come to that in a minute. Talk about what you've got coming up first.
Yeah, well, the DW Live show is on holiday. We're not going to Benidorm, me and Dom, sadly. But we're taking a little break, guys, and we are coming back on the 1st of September. And we're coming back with a little show you might have heard of called Confex. We're going to be live on the keynote stage. Oh, my goodness, Dom, that is going to be a baptism of fire coming back.
My God, we nearly got there a couple of weeks ago. It was very close, wasn't it?
Very close. We were within a week. Anyway, before that, guys, we've got a couple of onboarding things and kind of grow your business with the DW Superstars webinar coming up as well. You'll see them. For all this information, go to the delegatewranglers.com/DW-broadcast as always. Yeah. And before we end, Dom, thank you, Callum, for that. Before we end, one more comment from Laura Hemmings on YouTube. Thanks, Laura, for watching and tuning in. Do you recommend always having 2 quote comments in the press release? Obviously need one from each party as a partnership, etc. Yes, that's quite normal to have it. Sometimes they run into a couple of sentences for each, but I would just stick to having one comment from one person and then one comment from the other person. You don't need to keep jumping in between the both of them. Yeah. So that's the way, I see that's the way we format ours, and that's the way I see Marty formatting his as well. So I hope that helps,
I've seen another couple of comments. Mag Shaw on LinkedIn said, thank you very much. Really interesting. Isn't Martin a wonderful speaker? Yes, absolutely. And Chris Peacock from Conference Care said, I just happened to chance upon this. Glad I did. Really interesting content. Thank you. You're very welcome, Chris. Thanks for watching. Interested to know how you stumbled across it, but do come back. Unfortunately, it's the last show of the series, so wait until September.
Yeah. And Mags, I think what Mags is identifying is how bad me and you are, Dom, compared to Marty.
Oh,
well, I am anyway.
That's a really harsh appraisal.
No, Mags. Hi, Mags. Hope you're okay. So, guys, before I go, I would just like to say a couple of big thank yous, because this is the last show of the season. First of all, to Dom, Ed, Callum, and all the team at Stream. You guys don't know how much work they put into it, and I know there's a lot. So, thank you very much, guys. You've done a brilliant job as always.
Thank you for having us back. There is always a lot of work, and I can't take the credit for it. I walk into the studio at 1:15, I sit at the table, I put the headphones in, turn the mic on, and we're off. But everything that leads up to it is done by the team behind the scenes. So thank you.
And all the graphics and the way it is produced, it's super cool. So, and obviously, guys, contact them if you need any. How do you describe what you do, Dom? Camera.
We are a live streaming company, and at some stage in the Delegate Wranglers Supplier Hour over the next couple of weeks, you'll see a couple of new videos coming out from us talking about what we do and how we do it. But it's particularly pertinent to any event professional out there who is putting on an event, and particularly going into the hybrid era, needs video production element to their event. So call us or email dominic@stream.com, or find me online, or just message Neil and he'll put you in touch.
Yeah, I'll take my commission.
Thank you.
So only joking. So also big thanks to Event Case for amazing registration services. We've used them throughout, and they've been absolutely fantastic. Make it really easy, slick to do. So look them up, guys. I will put a link in the wrap up tonight as well. And then also thanks to all of our guests on the show that we've had. We've had Anna, Ken, Mandy, Duncan, Sarah, Sophie, James, and Marty just now. So, and then there was the discussion one as well, where we had Craig on, and Mandy,
Craig and Amanda. We've had some
Mandy,
I'm going to throw another thank you in because again, there's a ton of work that goes on this show, way behind the scenes. So thank you to you and Di particularly for going out, finding the guests, for putting on the masterclasses, for allowing us to stream into your wonderful group, for all of the work that you put in. Because again, creating graphics, creating videos, all of the stuff that happens behind the scenes that my team don't have anything to do with, that you never get credit for. So to you and Di, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. No, we absolutely love doing it. Di's the real power behind it all. It's just me.
I should take that.
I'm just here to look pretty and read things.
And you do both very well.
Okay, guys. Well, thank you once again, and we will see you in September.
1st of September, live from the... Is it still the keynote stage?
The keynote stage, yeah.
Live from the keynote stage at Confex on the 1st, 2nd September. More information coming soon, but in the meantime, thank you very much for watching.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.